Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. Market is about to open. Let me just bear with me a second.
Order filled. Target filled.
Okay, it's all right. I was just trying something. Okay, it's okay. I was just trying that open range. What's it called? Open range trade. So I'll talk about it in a minute anyway. So I hope everyone's well. I hope everyone's had a great weekend. Market is officially open. So we have a little gap up today. We haven't managed to fill it yet, but I dare say at some point during the morning we will do. So I hope everyone is okay. So let's see how we get on today. So let me just find out where that order was. That was in and that was out. Excuse me just a second. Then excuse me a second. Okay. Speedy, how you doing, bud? Right, that's interesting. Bear me just a second. Came down there. Okay. I've just been having a go at that. I'll tell you in a minute anyway. Let's just see if we can mark this chart up. We do seem to be coming up there at the moment. So whether this is a breakout or not, I don't know. But market is officially open. Vaughan, how you doing, bud? No, it's okay. I had a go at that open range breakout just on a sim. So it's the one that what's his name? And the Alpine guy. There's another guy that does it, so I've just been learning a little bit about it. What I like about it, it's a strategy you can use just when the market's open and you're in and done. Now, I think what the idea is you draw these lines as support and resistance. And I think what you do is you put so you do an OCO. You can see an OCO, which just, if anybody doesn't know, it just means one cancels the other. So you put a buy order and a sell order in, but it's where you put it. So the theory is there's a level of support here where you can see that black line there. If it breaks that level of support, usually it comes down to the next level of support, which is here, and vice versa. Now, I put my order in there and I got out there. So the theory was we'd already broken this level of support and this was the next level of support. So normally when we get up here, we'll break above it and then close below it. Now that obviously continues. So I got in there and got in out. So he just goes for 17 ticks and I did it 17 ticks just on 3 contracts. I just want to have a play around with it just for a month or two just to see how it works. But the thing I like about it, it's a strategy just for the open. So my strategy that I trade with Max, I love. I think it's a great strategy. I've spent the last 3 years learning it and getting better at it, so I won't give that up. But it'd be nice to have something to trade in the first 30 seconds of the market, and then you can go on to Max. But that's basically the theory. He does it on the 1 minute chart on the NQ. And he does it without a stop. That's the only issue I have without a stop. So whether I'd put something in there at a later stage, but yeah, that's where I went in above this one. I had an order here below. I think the order was below that one. But anyway, we'll have a talk about it later anyway. But yeah, I was in and out in a second. It literally came down here. It triggered me, and I hit my profit straight away. So that's 3 contracts. 3 contracts just for 17 ticks. So that worked anyway. So I'm just going to back test this just for a month or so. It's just something like that until I can find out and get it to work sort of 8 times out of 10. The trouble is you're going to have to put some sort of a stop in, because it's okay if it works 90% of the time and gets you $245 every time. If it doesn't work the 10th time and it hits your stop and you don't have a stop, it blow the account. So it's kind of useless in a sense. But what I will say is, now that's interesting there. What I will say is, it's just something I'm going to look into a little bit, but it'd be nice to have a strategy to trade at the open, because obviously, usually with Pat, we avoid the open just for the first few minutes, obviously because it's quite erratic and moving fast. But that's the beauty of that open range strategy. That's what it's designed for. So we've got a channel here: touch, 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 overshoot. So I would suggest. We're likely to maybe get a correction here. We still could push up a bit and touch these highs again and then come down, but I think it's likely we may get a correction here. So we'll just keep an eye on this. So as I think you guys know, I hit another payment last week, which I'll put a submit a request for on Wednesday the 1st. So hopefully I've got another evaluation at the moment, which is around about $1,700 up. So hopefully that will add to. The plan is to get to 10. And then when I can get another payment out, I'll just keep adding an extra 2 or 3. And ideally what I'd like to do is just trade 10 and 10. Keep them separate. I don't want all my eggs in one basket. So although there are some people who do trade 20. I was watching some of Patrick Welland's videos over the weekend, and he's got, or he had, 20 accounts with $10,000 in above the $50,000, which is $200,000, and he just takes a payment. I really like that. It must take a little bit of time to get to that level, but he trades all 20 at the same time. Which I would love to do. I just haven't got a lot of faith in rhythmic. That's the bit that makes me a bit nervous. So what is going on here? Let me have a look. So overshoot, I expect this to come down. Now there is a second entry long there, but that is a mistake in my opinion. But at the moment this market is dropping. Looking on that NQ there, it's a little bit different. We've passed that measured move, so this is coming down. I'm not convinced at the moment. This is, well, it kind of is ranging, I suppose. It's slightly different, I think. So we just keep an eye on that. So maybe we get a correction and still off. It's hard to say at the moment. Jay, how you doing? Daily chart looks like we may want to start second entry short for the EMA. Yeah, I noticed on the it's coming down, isn't it? So the trouble is, what my experience is, when we get a channel and overshoot, sometimes we'll get a correction and it'll carry on up. Sometimes it'll come back, push up, break these highs, and then reverse. Sometimes we get an overshoot here, we get a small break here, and it continues up. So I just want to be careful here. You could say it's a breakout of this range, but the trouble is it's gone one hell of a lot of distance. This to me is more than just a breakout. I don't really want to go short here, and I'll tell you why. Looking at that NQ, we've had a good strong push down. We could come and retest this underside here. I wouldn't want to go short here. We're way too far from the EMA, so I won't go short here because it could trigger you, push up, stop you out. One more coming up to this midline. Not only that, it's 3 points, so tick above, tick below. I think that's a bit dangerous. So it may work, but I would prefer this to at least make an attempt to push up. It's maybe holding at that midline. It may hold at that midline a little bit. In which case, if it does push back for that EMA, this will follow it and that stop will end up. So that's clearly worked anyway. But you don't know it's going to do that. So that's that triple test, not really low or high. Yeah, that was kind of a triple test, wasn't it? Is that what you're on about, isn't it? I did look at that. If it was a clearer triple test, I'd have taken that. I noticed Mac marks those, and what's his name? I've gone blank. Someone else in the Facebook group, he takes those. Yeah, if we get an overshoot with a triple test, I will go short there, but I just wasn't sure about that. And it worked pretty quick. Yeah. That to me is one. That to me is one. I don't know if I count that one. But I think we've certainly bounced a few times, so I think there's a good chance that that's going to get back to the EMA. Yeah, yeah. You see, sometimes when the market's moving quick, sometimes it can catch you out. You got to think a bit quicker, haven't you? So sometimes I like to just give it time to settle. I seem to be finding a right amount of discipline at the moment, so when it does get a little bit quick like that, do you know what? Depending on how you put that, there is a possibility that that might not necessarily be a breakout. It is possible. But anyway, it looks like we're testing the underside of this now, so just have to keep an eye on this. We're right at the bottom. Well, we're at the lows of the day here, so that's quite a big push down. That is, we're at the lows of the day here, so I wouldn't really want to go short here at the moment. So we'll just keep an eye on it. Let's put that as an overshoot. Really, I think it's probably a safer option. In all fairness, that section there does look like it fits nice there. So yeah, I'd say does look like a spike in a channel. We got a touch. So yeah, I think that is an overshoot. I think sometimes it's safer to assume we've had an overshoot than try and look for a long, because obviously, you know, after a channel up, when we have a break, majority of the time we'll look to make a new high. But if you've had an overshoot, sometimes you can end up thinking, oh, look, don't get me wrong, it was a second entry long. But one, it's a little channel anyway, so I wouldn't have taken that. And two, because of the overshoot, it's likely to get trapped. And there we go. So yeah, if you think there's a friendly newbies out there, if you think there's an overshoot, avoid taking a long to go higher. Just avoid it. And that'll save you getting stung, because it was, you know, if you count that as a new high, it is a second entry long. I mean, you could really say, you could argue that there is a small channel there with a break and a new low. So you could argue that. But I think if there is a slight whiff of an overshoot, you're best off avoiding a long. Just give it a chance to sort itself out. I mean, it may work, but the chances are, if we have had an overshoot and there is a setup like that, chances are it's going to get triggered and stopped out. I took that fail second entry long, but didn't. At the bottom of the range. You took that one there, did you? Yeah, just wasn't sure. Sure at the moment. But yeah. Trouble is, this there's a limited amount of movement, is there? So figuring out what's happening. But yeah, might go down trend. Yeah, we could do. I mean, There's certainly a channel on that NQ. No arguing there. I mean, that's about as nice as a small channel gets, actually. It fits beautifully right the way down. So let's just keep our eyes on that. So So my issue about taking a short here, if one came up, I mean, is this ranging? It kind of is, but you've got a leg and a drop down. But what I will say is, if you do think about this as a range, and I'm a bit on the fence about whether it is or not. We've had a break out the top which failed, and now we've had a break out the bottom. And if it is a range, quite often that'll come back in. So thinking about taking a short there, I wouldn't think of doing so, because that could push back up and back into that range. And if it does push up, a short here might get me into trouble. Yeah, I noticed. Is that going to get filled at some point? I mean, it was filled on the NQ, but it hasn't done as yet here. I mean, in all honesty, let's have a look back here. I mean, we could get a leg and a leg, couldn't we? It's always possible. Just depends, really. So if we do get another leg down, I mean, that'll close that gap up quickly. I suppose it depends how good it looks here. But if you consider that as a first touch, that as your second touch, trouble is, you could do that, and we've had a break and a new low, so it's... let's have a look. So yeah, the concern is we broke out the top of this, but what I will say is if it bounces off that underside, if it tests that underside, and I think it looks good enough to come down, then I will take a short there. But at the moment, in the ES, we're fitting okay in there, short-term trend channel, so I'd want to break there, but let's see if we can get a little channel here. Yeah. So I'd like to test this. If we can test the underside of this, mind you, see, I'm not massively convinced it is a range. It just looks like a leg up with two legs of correction and another leg up. We are getting some resistance here. Yeah, it's a bit too early to know exactly what's going on at the moment, I think. It certainly is for me anyway. Let's see what happens here. So we're still in this little channel here, so okay, so we have got a touch there. Okay, we are getting a bit of resistance here, which is a good sign. Trouble is, I don't like this at the moment. Let's see. We need to get a lower high below there. This to me has just triggered that, and it's attempting to push up. Let's see if we can push down a bit and get a lower high down here. Okay, lower high I'm looking for. This thing looks like it's about to drop, so I don't know if we're going to get a setup here or not, are we? I want a little pullback here, followed by a lower high and then NQ. But I mean, that's an obvious channel with a break, so we may not even get it. It may just drop. That's the thing sometimes. Let's get a little pullback here. Come on. This thing looks like it's ready to take off, doesn't it? Come on, let's have a little pullback. Come on. Come on, come on. Come on. Get towards that EMA. Come on, at least try and trigger that. A little push up and then a drop. Come on. Come on, push up, push up. Get one tick above that. Come on. Come on, you git. Yeah, I can't take that. As tempting as it is, it's just a little bit too far from that EMA. It does look like it's going to drop here, but it doesn't mean I can change my rules. It's too far from the EMA. It is in the lower high. Now, I do believe Thomas Wade may take something like that. I'm sure he does, but it's just above me at the moment. I'm sticking to my rules, and for me, it's close, but not quite close enough, unfortunately. But I don't mind. I got no problem with leaving it. You got it. You took it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I absolutely get it. My slight issue is when we had this little bit here, it could come back to that EMA a bit, and it could just push a bit higher than that and catch you out. 2 for the day. You done, are you? Good on you, mate. Good on you. Yeah, you know, I got a pretty good idea where I think it's going, but the trouble is with this NQ, it does move quick, and when we had this little push down, it could just come down a bit. You know, you look at these bars, they've got a habit of dropping then pushing up. They can go from being bullish to bearish in a second, and it just could come back a little bit closer. I'm convinced that this is going to break these lows because it's looking really bearish. Now, we've had this channel down, as we can see, and we've had a break, so it makes perfect sense. We're looking to break the lows, and I think it's absolutely going to. The trouble is, before it does, it could come a little bit closer to that AMA, and if it does, and this gets a little bit close to the EMA, it could break above there. I mean, it's come down far enough to make a couple of points anyway, so if you did get in there, that's fine, but maybe you wouldn't have got 2 points out of that. See, I'd have waited for 2 points there, and I'd have still been in this trade now, and that, it could break above there. I don't think it would, because we're close to the lows, and if we break these lows, well, we have done now anyway, so... Let's have a little look. So that's my concern. It didn't come back close enough. It's just too far from that EMA for me. I'd much prefer that closer. I like at least, if I'm going to take a lower high, I'd really at least like that to get close to that EMA. Enjoy the stream risk-free, guys, yeah. It's nice. Sometimes it's nice to not have to trade. If you can get your trades out early, just sit and watch. It's quite nice to spend some time at the charts without having, without having to think about taking a trade. It's kind of nice. I've done it a few times. There's just no stress at all, and it's just, you just sit there quite comfortably. So what are we going to do? Are we going to have another test at this and come down some more? It's hard to say. See, I'm looking for a possible triple test here now. Because with this sort of breakout, yeah, there's no argument there. You can clearly see support. So we've come down, tested this, we've come down, we've had sort of like a leg up there, we've attempted to. It'd be nice to make another attempt. So we got this channel down, leg down, 2 attempts to go higher, and then to push down to at least these lows. But after this, if we are getting a range in, we break out the top. We often do the same out the other end. We've done it here, a little bit sideways, break out the top, which failed monumentally, and then we've had a break out the bottom, which it's made one attempt to push high and a second attempt to go. So this is tempting. There's a second entry short there. It's tempting. It's very tempting. I probably should take it. It's only 6 ticks.
Order submitted.
Let's just see how this falls. My slight concern is we're above the EMA at the moment, so I'm going to sit this one out, I think. But it is 6 ticks. Which is, in the grand scheme of things, is a small risk, really, if I can get in at the close of it. But at the moment, I don't like what the... No, I think that may get stopped out there. I'm going to sit this one out. I don't like the feel of this. And rightly so. It hasn't stopped it out yet, but I'll be surprised if it doesn't. Yeah, it's bound to. This is pushing up to retest this. So it was a good choice to leave that in there. Now, don't get me wrong. I get why people have taken that. We've got this channel down. We've had a break of it. We haven't made the new low. It is a second entry short, and it's a small risk. But there's something I don't like about it. It's sitting right on the middle line. And this, to me, is come down and made a new low for Miss Channel on the NQ. It's another reason why I like the NQ. The NQ is telling me it's pushing up to test this again. So a short there for me is a mistake. And I left it. It was a second entry short at the key entry point. We haven't broken the lows. We've got another channel as well, 2 legs. So I bet there'd have been a few taking that. But this, to me, is telling me short is not an option. Yeah, but it's those ones, sort of shifty little ones that can catch people out. Now, I was tempted, but I didn't like what I was looking here. This, to me, we've had a channel on the NQ, we've had a break of it, we've pushed down, made a new low, we've bounced like 3 times there on that NQ, and we've pushed up strongly. So for me, we're at least attempting to retest this line again. So a short here is a bit of a mistake. Yeah, I get why people... Don't get me wrong, something like that may work. Now, that might be a better option. Sometimes it'll do that. Now, that's trapping longs, but at the moment, I'm just not sure what I'm seeing on this NQ. Is this going to push back into the range? It could. So that may be another trap. But what I will take is if we get a lower high after here below the EMA and this decides to come back down. But But yeah, there is just a little bit of sideways there. It catches people out here. I am getting better at spotting those. Sometimes it's hard to put my finger on it, but I just tend to get a feeling that a little bit of sideways, a breakout, trapping longs. I get why traders would have taken that. It is a second entry short. And we've come down from the top, so I get why traders would have taken that. But just something about it, I didn't like it. We've got the open there. Is it the open? Yeah, we've got the open there. Is it the open? No, it's not the open, is it? What is that? Yeah, sorry, the current open there, and it's above that. It's also sat on that, sat in the middle line. So something like that, you're better off, I think. I mean, it makes sense. Channel down with a break. One push up, second push up, trapping some longs, second entry short. If I'm not sure, I'd rather wait for the lower high. If you get a lower high, then that's a better option. We get a second leg, but yeah, it's a little and it's a small risk as well, so that might be another reason traders might take it. But obviously, when we hit this one, we went straight up there. So if you did have any stops above there, but yeah, it's another reason why I use this NQ, because the NQ kept me out of that trade, and a little feeling that something wasn't right. So just because we've had a nice channel on the NQ, that's actually a really lovely channel. We've come straight from the breakout at the top, straight the way down through that range. We've had a break of it, and we've pushed down and made a new low, and we've had like 3 bounces, 3 wicks, and off it went. So makes sense. Next target is at least going to retest this, and if it gets to that level, which it did, that's getting stopped out. Another good reason for me, again, to have this. It not only helps you get trades, it helps you keep out of little shifty fiddly ones as well. So maybe this is a leg and a leg. This would be a better option for a short, I think. Although I don't like the bar at the moment. If we can get a lower high, we got a leg down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, fails. Now on that NQ at the moment, we've pushed up and we've come back. So I'm guessing we're going to test this. If we can get below here and retest the underside, then I'll be thinking about a short. So if we get something here, leg down, 2 attempts to go higher. It's almost like a penguin trade, that, isn't it? Leg, 1 attempt higher, second attempt higher. It's struggling at exactly where we want it to struggle as well. So if this goes below the EMA and gives us a lower high, and we can get a lower high here, I'll take that. Unfortunately, I can't take anything here until we get below this. We may not. Excuse me. Yeah, so we got 1 attempt higher. Second attempt higher. Leg down, 1 attempt, second attempt. If it struggles here, I'd expect it to fail. But at the moment, we're clearly finding some support here, and that makes perfect sense because we've found it multiple times. So I think there's a good chance this is going to come down. I want a lower high, but I want this to be below the EMA because we can have 2 legs and bounce off here. In fact, there's more or less a short-term trend. Excuse me, a short-term trend channel there, so that makes sense. It's going to come down. It could bounce here and push up. So I've got to be careful going short here. So that's the only one available at the moment. I wouldn't have taken that because I don't like that wick. And if you look where it's closed, struggling to close below that line. Okay, are we now struggling? Let's have a look. Yeah, at the moment on this NQ, that bit of support there and the EMA is holding price, so I just can't go short at the moment. I'm not saying I can't if it changes, but at the moment, this looks to me like it's going to have a go higher. Excuse me. Okay, that's going to break those highs. I think it has by a tick. It has. Okay, so if you did go short there, you just got stitched up. That's why it's so useful to have this. These two are telling me different pictures. This to me is looking like it's finding support and it's going to come down after a leg down and 2 attempts to go higher. And this at the moment looks like it's testing the inside bottom of this range and likely to push higher. So I've got conflicting evidence there of what's going on. So there's nothing to take on here. Just shove this over a bit. Excuse me, I'm yawning here. Okay, what I will say is that looks like a little channel. With a break and a new high. What's going on here then? Okay, little channel break, new high, bearish bar. Still can't go short here at the moment because we've bounced off the underside of this on the NQ. Sorry, we've bounced off the underside here. We've pushed up and we've made a new high there. So I just can't go short there at the moment because it could come a bit higher. We've had a breakout at the top which failed, and same again, a couple of attempts to go low which failed. So there is a bit of support around here. We got that midline, but it could work up that one's. It could work up there on that NQ for possibly another leg. So going short here isn't an option at the moment. It may work, it may come down. This may just turn and come down, but this is telling me there's more chance of it going up at the moment. So taking a short there, which ordinarily wouldn't seem like a bad call because, I mean, look, we've had the channel with a break and a new high. Not only that, we've trapped some longs there, and it has, you know, it is above this, so you would think it could work that. Leg break, new high, it's played out, so it could work. It may work. But at the moment, the NQ is telling me it may be going higher, so the best option for me is just to stay out of that. Not only that, is what I've noticed, I always find I feel much better about taking a short at the top of a range when we've had a break and made 1-2 attempts to go higher. I'll be surprised if that doesn't get taken out. Yeah, see, so same again, that would have triggered just stopped you out, that would have triggered just stopped you out. And ordinarily, you wouldn't think it'd be a bad place. You know, like Max says, he loves trading ranges. You just short the top and buy the bottom. Well, where do you short? Every one of these bars, if you took them, would have worked. That one wouldn't, and that one wouldn't. But also, we haven't come down low enough here. So, but you know, my experience, as it sort of grows, you learn how a complex decision your brain's got to work out to take these trades. There's so much going on in your head, isn't there? I remember hearing Mac first ever talk about this when I first joined his system, and he said, you know, doctors, solicitors, it takes years, and I'm thinking, how can it take that long? How can it be that difficult? All you got to do is figure out what the chart's going. But the more you do it, the more you realise how much detail there is in it, you know. It really is a skilled job, and you know, you don't realise that till you do it more and more and more. Sometimes you think the more you do a job, the easier it gets. I find sometimes it's sort of the obvious, the opposite. But you do get used to knowing where something doesn't look right. And it is, for me, very much a feeling. I think it's probably the same for most. Something doesn't look right or it doesn't feel right, and you know, that gut instinct you've built up from, you know, a few years of getting caught, getting trapped, learning this, learning a bit of that, and it is very, very, it is like a finely tuned machine, really. Your brain, out, you know, what it has to do to be able to, you know, make good decisions. Zoom out here and have a look. Okay, so break 1-2 pushes up. Are we going to get another bearish bar here for another potential short? Same again. Doesn't interest me at the moment because this NQ, we pushed up, we came back, retested this, which kept me out of that trade. Was it that trade? No, I think it was this trade. And now we pushed up, a little bit of sideways. We're finding a little bit of support along that, sort of just above that center line. You can see there's a little bit of congestion there. So I think it's got more likely to push higher. And if it does, rules out another short. Fortunately, there wasn't a setup anyway, but is this going to push back up to here? Who knows? But for me, I think this is more likely to go up. So I'm not looking for a short right at the moment. So depending on where this falls, I could readjust this. Let's just pop it there for a minute. Maybe we've got a similar one there. Usually if we have one at the top, I always like to have one at the bottom, so that would make sense. Or we could take that up a little bit higher to there. I don't know, let's leave it there. Okay, I'm yawning like crazy here. I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break, make myself a cup of coffee. I'm not doing nothing till we get up here anyway, so sit tight and I'll be about 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. I missed nothing. Okay, clearly just ranging really so far. I'm still not sure about this. I have a feeling this is going to come down. It's alright, I'm just wondering if there's a channel with a break and we've already made a new high. But it's concerning me. It's this NQ. We've had a big push down. There's going to be some longs there. We've triggered above that. If this breaks below there and there, this is coming down for a leg and we can kiss goodbye to that. Now, having said that, if it can't get below here, this could push up, so there may be a higher low there. Oh, God, that's so tempting, but dangerous as well. Let's see if this higher low triggers. I think, personally, there's something about this I don't like. I'm not sure whether they've already broken a new high now. It may work, but there's something I don't like about this. It's looking quite bullish now, so maybe it will work. We'll see. Okay, looks like it's gonna. I'm just not a fan of this. Not only that, it's too close to those highs. We could go once, twice, 3 times and come down. There is, you know, some distance to the top, so maybe it'll work. But I just don't like what this is doing. There could be a second entry short. We've had a push down, could be a second entry short and come down. I just don't know. Something I don't like about this. I mean, this channel, we've pushed up here and we've pushed up again. We've struggled to get high there. So I'm not feeling comfortable going long. We seem to be finding some support there. We're struggling to get through. Maybe nothing. We may just needed a break, but we've got no room to the tops. And there could be a second entry short. I just don't like this. So I'm staying out of a long year if we get one. It's gone too far for a start for me. If the tail had been down here or the wick had been down here and the body was sat here, I may have a go, but it may work. I don't know. It's just something about this I don't like. Look, we're finding some support there. It could trigger you and then come down. What you don't want to see is to get trigger in it for it to stop and start to do that. This to me is just looking. I don't like the picture. And as I say, for me, it's a lot about what it looks like now. I don't have to mess around sort of counting anymore. But you know, the NQ could just push up. It may work. But you don't want to see that. Taking a trade into this is extra risky anyway for me. Okay, so we've pushed up, made a new high here, so that's fine. So if you'd have taken that higher low, tick above it, say there, you'd have got a point at the moment. Now it may push up. I don't like this. It's struggled twice already in these areas. So for me, this is a risky trade. If you'd have scalped a point out of that, a tick above it, you'd have got a point. But I just don't like this. That to me is a week long into these highs so far for the EMA, so I wouldn't be surprised if this comes or breaks below. If it does, it may get below there. I don't know. Maybe. It's not right for me anyway. So, channel with a break. There may be something larger up there. It's possible. I'm just not sure at the moment. Okay, so if you'd have took that one, you'd have got 2 points out of that. It would have worked. I just don't. For me, this channel, I don't like the way. I like it when it gets to the top and comes back to this side. It hasn't there, and we've had another push up, and it's come back and dropped quickly. Now, perhaps it's just getting back and it needs a little bit more of a run up. You know, if you want to get in long, this isn't the place to take them. You want to get in down here. So it's done what it's supposed to, but it's just something about this. I am unsure as well whether I've missed something and we've already had a break. See what I mean? That kind of works. In which case, touch. In which case, we've had a break and a new high, and then this drops. So you don't know whether it's going to maybe just try and retest these and come down. But it may be all right. It may be okay. But if I'm not sure, I'll just stay out of it. I don't want to get into a trade based on I'm not sure. So that's fine. That's pushing up and retesting this level up here. Let's just shut this out of the way. Yeah, there's nothing I can do here short-wise. I think Mac's back, isn't he? I think he was away last week. I believe he's back. So I'm assuming we may get a video tonight, hopefully. See if we can get a second entry here. Just keep in mind, guys, they 80% off Apex and a data pass finishes tomorrow. So if you pass it today or pass it tomorrow, then you're all good. Having said that, if you don't, obviously you still got the discount. Be interesting to see. This is the longest period we've had this. It's been the best part of the month. So it'd be interesting to see where it goes next. I seem to be getting more and more of the parcel a day. So I'm guessing, if I was to guess, I'd say we're possibly back to the 71% for a bit. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know why they don't just give up and just say minimum 1 day to pass and just leave it at that. Okay, see if we can get a couple of legs. We need to get up here a little bit first and then come down. No, I don't think we're going to get a short here. No, this is not a short for me. I'll tell you why. This NQ is not looking like it's about to go short. We've had a higher low there, which continues. Looks like it's going to continue up. This, to me, doesn't look like it's about ready to go short. We may have a small break of it, but we got a nice little channel, 4 nice bars there pushing up. So I think a short here, personally, for me, is risky. There is a little bit of support there, so we may just have a break. But for me, this looks like it's going to go up and at least test these highs. It's hard to say at the moment, but this to me is not looking like you want to get into a short. There's a failure there. So if this is looking bullish and this is looking bearish, then it's a conflict of interest. So unfortunately, I'm just going to have to sit tight on here. It's congested, it's a bit sideways, it's a bit unclear. I'm not saying it's not going to come down, it could do really. You want a lower high there, and this ideally looking like it's bearish. But at the moment, we've had 4 strong bars with the break. I think it's fair to get a new high from this on that NQ. So there is some support along there. Sorry. There, so it may just have another attempt there. We'll see. It's a bit choppy really and a bit hard to clearly got a small range here, break out the top, break out the bottom, so push in, retest this, push up here. So I just, to me, this isn't ready to come down just yet. I mean, it could change, but so it's ruling out a short for me unless I can see a nice lower high and this starts to push down. Okay, that one I wouldn't have taken anyway, not a chance. So let's see if we get a lower high for another leg down. We got a leg down, 2 attempts higher. Yeah, I thought there's just no setup there. I just don't like it. I don't like it when it sits exactly the same there. Let's top that over. Yeah, see, all of a sudden, 1 minute that drops like that, we trigger below and then push up. So we're gonna, who knows? Jay, how you doing? Doing was the short into the midline, yeah. the easiest day to trade today. I mean, I think there's a good chance we're going to come down here, but I just can't take that. I don't like it when it sort of sits like that. I much prefer to tick higher, at least to trap along. Always makes the short a little bit better. If the short breaks down below the stop, it just gives it that little bit more momentum. But at the moment, let's have a look. We're clearly on this. Have a look at this. This is just ranging, I think, for me at the moment. Let's just get rid of that. Break out the top, break out the bottom. So how far is this going to come down? Is it just going to sit at the bottom quite lightly? Come off the bottom, we're going back up here, quite possibly. Trouble is I can't go long here. We got a leg and a leg. There is a higher low there, and yeah, it may push up to that EMA, but I wouldn't expect that to push back up here. Bottom, top. This is where I expect it to come down to, at least to here. So going long, we may get a second entry short there. We'll see. There might be a bigger channel. Trouble is, that's interesting. We need to get up higher though, at least to trap that higher low really. We got a touch, and a touch. Okay, so that might not look too bad. I do expect it to come down here, so I want it to go a little bit higher. See, on that NQ at the moment, we're at the bottom of the range. In fact, there is a lower high there. That's very tempting, that, but it's just a bit too far for that EMA for me. We're struggling at the bottom here, so that could push up. If it pushes up, that's going to get stopped out. Now, it may work. I just don't like this. It is a second entry short. It's not at the EMA, and it is congested. So for me, it's just a bit of a no-no, unfortunately. I don't like what it's doing. It's a bit choppy, and it may work. I mean, it does confirm that channel, that's what I will say, but I much prefer that closer to that EMA. And at the moment, that NQ is we've pushed in and we've bounced a couple of times. I'm not saying it can't go down, it can do, but at the moment this is congested, so it could go up or down. So I'm just sitting tight here. That's too far from that EMA for me, and it is congested. It's clearly sideways. There's no argument there. So second entry short. When it triggers like that and turns like that, you might as well just get out of it early, I think, because that's almost always going to break above there. It's a weak position, that is. It needs to be pushed up here and then drop. And weak positions like that just get weeded out. I mean, I get why people may take it. One, it's a second entry short. Two, 1, 2, 3, it's confirming this line, but it's just a bit congested. The thing is, when you start trading, you haven't been trading long, it's really hard to turn down stuff like that. And in all fairness, if you're new, you probably should take them anyway, because the best way is it is a setup. But it is congested, so the best way to learn these really are to get caught and get trapped. I tell you what, you remember them a lot more when you get caught. If you take it and it gets lucky, you don't learn nothing really. If you take it and you get trapped, next time around when you see this picture, just something in your brain goes, "Ooh, I've been here before." It may take a few times, but eventually it will, and you'll just look at this then and think, "There's something I don't like there, I'm leaving it alone." I generally don't have to sort of work things out anymore. I can just look at it and something just doesn't feel right, and I tend to trust my gut instinct now. See that NQ, which is still going sideways, there's a bearish bar there, so that could trap shorts and push up. I don't know. It's hard today. It's not the easiest. And at the moment, when it's doing this, the NQ is doing this. I don't want to trade here, really. Maybe shorts up here if they look right, I may do. But at the moment, where's it going? Up here, down here? God only knows. Let's see if we make a couple of attempts to push up. We may get a triple test. That might not look too bad, but it's, for me, it's still got to look right in the NQ. If that NQ's pushing up, this may get up to this level. I used to get chopped to bits trading the centre range. I'll tell you something though, Jake, doesn't have to teach you though, doesn't it? You get frustrated, you get so frustrated when it happens, but after a while, and you start to realise, oh yeah, I remember this, and you stay out of trades that go on to trap you, you get a real good sense of achievement then. So if I still get trapped, I don't get trapped much now, but if I do, I don't mind it so much, because if I believed it to be a good trade, it just means I've got more to learn. You know, and the good thing about this is I know where my skill level is at now compared to when I started, and they're a world apart. And the good thing is, for me, every day I come here and trade, I'll improve and get better at chart reading. So I know enough to know now how valuable getting caught out from time to time really helps you. So it doesn't affect me as much anymore. It used to frustrate the shit out of me, really. But at the moment, I don't. You know, if I think it's a genuine trade and I get caught out, it just means I'm just, you know, I've still got more to learn. And I don't think you ever really master this. I think you get very good at it more after the years. But I think this is, I don't know, this is like sort of martial arts. You get better and better and better after years and years and years, but you never truly master it. But it is. It's learning and fine tuning and learning and fine tuning, and it is. It's fine tuning that brain to fit a mold. So if you are getting shopped around and you're losing, don't worry about it. And if it is happening, just make sure when it's happening, it happens on a sim, because it really is the best way to learn is to get trapped. Because it forces you to notice these areas, and you just get better and better. But I can appreciate it now. All those times I was trapped have really helped me, because I notice these areas. You know, you hear me say a lot, there's something I don't like about this, and often it would have gone on to trap me. Occasionally it'll go without you, but it, you know, even in a bad situation, even a bad trade can work sometimes. You know, but you do learn, and you just get better and better on it, and it does make you feel good when you finally start to identify these areas that used to trap you. So if you are getting trapped, don't beat yourself up about it. But if it is happening often, just make sure you're trading on a sim when it's happening. Because if it's happening a lot, you really need to be on a sim, I'd say. As tempting as it is to take evaluations, I think sometimes it can just add to the frustration. And while you're learning, you're learning your craft, really, you want a minimal amount of frustration, really. You have to have experience of trading with skin in the game, but you need some skills before you do that, really. And I think most of us know that, because most of us have not listened, have we? I certainly haven't. I can't tell you how much money I've chucked at this, probably 28,000. I'd say at least £25,000, which is probably 30, you think, yeah, maybe 23,000, 25,000 all in all. Let me think. No, maybe not that much. Not far off though. Certainly over £20,000. But you know, I'm okay with it. You know, I've been doing this for 3 years, and £20,000 for a 3-year brilliant education. You couldn't get that doing a degree in the UK. 3 years will cost you an extra £10,000 on top of that. Okay, so if we can get a lower high here, then I might have a go at that. We'll see. But yeah, don't beat yourself up if you do get caught out. It just means you've got stuff to learn. And you don't learn anywhere near as good as you do that when you lose a trade. You really remember, especially if you've got skin in the game, because you've got a financial connection to this picture, and if it catches you out, you tend to not forget it. Have you made back what you've put into it? Yeah, near enough. Near enough. I make some money off the affiliate link, so what have I had? 10, 12. I've had $12,000. $14,000. And money off the what's it. So yeah, near enough. Near enough. There is a lower high there. I'm a little bit concerned about this though, because we're still in this chop here, and this could go up or down. Now, it is looking bearish, I will say. So, the trouble is, we've got all this support to come now, so actually, I don't think it's that bad. Let's see how this one finishes, this lower high here. Let's just shift this over a minute. Leg. Yeah, that's no good for me.
Order cancelled.
Yeah, but, if you are putting money into it and you're counting the dollars and thinking, oh my God, if you're in the UK and you do a 3-year degree, it's going to cost you £30,000. And, people will pay that it'll be on credit. It'll be a loan, so they'll be paying interest on top of that. And people would never say, don't go and do a degree. Degree's a useful thing. It's chances are it's going to give you help your career. So when you're spending that sort of money on trading, just keep it in mind that it is you are paying for an education. So, and I'll tell you something now, most people who do degrees, might end up sort of doctors or nurses or teachers or other professionals. They're not going to earn as much as you can in trading. So don't, feel too bad about putting money into this. Just be careful with it. Don't throw it away needlessly, and I'm saying that because I know I've done it myself. It's tempting here. The trouble is on that NQ, we're right down at this bottom, and we know there's support there, so it could turn. It may push straight through it, but it may not. It clearly is. So unfortunately, that lower high you couldn't take, and you couldn't take. That one is just too big and too close to those lows. We're 2/3 of the way down there. Now, it may push lower. I suspect it probably will, but that to me is just too dangerous to take. It's 13 ticks, tick above, tick below. It's 300. It's 3.5 points. It's too much. I mean, if it's a fantastic trade and the bottoms are down here, then I'd take it for 13 ticks. But as we've broken below there quite sharply, we've pulled back. We're clearly seeing this. There's clearly some chop. This is choppy, so it's dangerous to trade. Break out the top, which failed. Vice versa at the bottom. But look at this. It could continue down, but as soon as it broke down, there was buy orders down there, which pushed this back in. So it's choppy. This. Which means it could go either way. It does look like it's going to continue down, but there is some support here again at the open. You can see it there. You can see it there. So it may not go much further before it has a pullback. Is there any type of a channel there? Possible. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this at the moment. It's just it's hard to read and it is a bit choppy. So I wouldn't have taken that. I don't like it. If you did, yeah, I get why you did it. But for me, it's got to be a lower high, and that lower high was this one. You could consider that one, but it's 2/3 of the way down towards the bottom. There's no space left, really. So if you'd have taken that a tick below there, you'd have got... Where's a tick about there, isn't it? So you'd have got 1.5 points off that. You'd have got 6 ticks off that. But the trouble is, if you just about make 6 ticks and it starts to pull back, if we can get another go up, then that may be a better option. Okay, there may be a bigger channel there. If we can get it confirmed here, then this could push down towards these lows. That kind of would work. Pull back in up to this line and then down. That might not be a bad trade there.
Order submitted.
No, that needs to get a little bit closer.
Order cancelled.
Let's see if this confirms this. So leg down, leg down. That would make sense, coming down to these lows, leg and a leg. We've come off the top. Last time we came off the top, we came down with a little bit of a pullback, down and pull back. So I think there's a good chance of this getting down here. Trading NQ and ES sometime now, scalping NQ. I've seen some very good days, but also some very bad days. NQ can be very difficult sometimes. Lead 100 for the NQ. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. NQ does move quite a bit, doesn't it? It can sort of sweep you out of a position quickly, can't you? So yeah, I know what you mean. You need a little bit more drawdown with NQ, don't you? And I think the NQ is almost like an excited version of the ES, isn't it? ES a little bit more sedate, isn't it? Sedated? Is that a word? Yeah, it's a little quieter, isn't it? In fact, the NQ is almost like the ES on steroids, is what I'm probably trying to say. It does. It just gets a little bit more excited, doesn't it? And yeah, it makes sense that. A little bit more drawdown. Maybe we get a second entry short off this. Don't like macro. How many is in this? At least I have trusted Mac system. Yeah, I think we're lucky really to have Mac system, and we've picked it up for well, it's such a good system, and you know we all know, well, most of us know how cheap it is really. $125 really to learn this, but we're lucky in a way. Lofi, how you doing, my friend? Yeah, I consider myself lucky. You know, I fell on my feet. I did when I come across Mac for sure, and I got to hand it to the two cowboys. You know, the ones, I think that they got us a lot of us into trading, and in all fairness, I think they brought a lot of business to Mac. You know, Riley Coleman and the other guy will come to me. But yeah, they were the ones that got me into trading futures. I was trading currency before this. So yeah, I think they you know, they got a lot of business for Mac, in all honesty. I know he had some sort of having said that, I think they repackaged his system and were trying to sort of ride off the back of him really, which wasn't ideal. You know, you don't bite the hand that feeds you, do you? But you know, I think you know, on the other hand as well, I think he did bring more people into futures, and you know, that's how I got into Mac. But I consider myself lucky. He's an ever so nice guy. He's a genuine guy. You know, I got a lot of time for genuine people because there isn't a lot of genuine people out there. I don't mean that nastily. So many people are out for what they can get, but there are not many people. Michael Chin, you got me. Yeah, exactly. There are not many people that are genuine and will help you and won't rip you off. You know, there's so many people out there selling, you know, courses for trading, and they're charging you thousands, and it's wrong, really. But the good thing about Mac is one, you can look at his YouTube channel and you can see there's 12, 13 years worth of charts there that you can get a feel for him. And anybody that is teaching you to trade for $125 is not out to get you. They're really not. I mean, $125 is peanuts. It's less than £100. It's nothing. You know, if I took my wife out for a meal and a bottle of wine, we'd spend £100. So, yeah, he's a genuine guy, and I consider myself lucky because you can come into this business and get ripped off senseless. You really can. There's so many people out there to grab your money. So I consider myself lucky. You know, I happen to have fallen on my feet. And it is a great system. But like any systems, it does take time. You know, learning the strategy is really the easy bit. You know, you can teach someone, you know, what a setup is really quickly, but it is applying it to the correct context. It's all about timing and applying it to the correct context of the market. And I know a lot of people will do a year or maybe a year and a half with Mac and think, oh, this is too hard. You know, anywhere where you can make the amounts of money you can in trading is never going to be easy. You just can't earn that sort of money, you know, by doing 12 months on something and you know, away you go. It doesn't work. There is a second entry short there at the key entry point under that midline. Very tempting. But yeah, I consider myself. I got lucky when I came across Mac, and I suppose it's down to Michael Chin really, and he's the one that got me into trading. I think he got a lot of people into trading. I think you don't quite know why sometimes a YouTube channel works, but his did for some reason. People took to him, and it works. So I consider I'm grateful to him for bringing me in. I know he had some issues with Mac, but that's down to them, and I think it was all sorted out in the end. I think they had to, I believe they had to shut down or to change something or whatever, which is fair enough. Someone spent a lot of. I mean, I know Mac got it from someone else. It's how it works. You learn stuff from someone else. I believe Mac originally got it from Al Brooks, but then you get it yourself and then you tweak it. It's actually quite a nice looking short on the NQ, but there's nothing here, unfortunately. That short on the NQ, well, the bar hasn't finished yet, but we got a leg down, a bunch of attempts to go higher. It doesn't look like it's going to finish right, but if that was nice and bearish, I thought that might get out, but it's not finished yet. I was hoping it was going to close below that line, so push down, a couple of attempts higher, close below the line. It hasn't finished yet, may do. And this is turned, so we'll see. But yeah, it's a great system, it really is. And to pay $125 to learn it is you're really lucky. So I'm grateful to Mac. And he is a lovely guy as well. So how's this going to finish? But yeah, I believe he's back actually. But he has talked about retiring as well lately, isn't he? So I think he's going to give people plenty of time. I think you probably get a year or so's notice. Okay, so I don't think that's that bad actually. It has triggered. But there's nothing here anyway for us. But it is looking like it's struggling to get up, and it's eventually got this leg down, haven't we? And one attempt higher. If we get another push up here, then I expect it to come down. We're pushing down, and we're doing a bit of sideways, and I think then I've got a good chance. There's a lot of support along there. You can see it there. You can see it here. You can see it right over there, and all here as well. So, did the gorilla guy ever come back? No, I did have a look on his YouTube channel maybe a couple of weeks ago, and there's nothing new on there, which is a shame because I liked him. He was a bit of a character. I liked his style. I've said from day one I want to try and work towards gaining more points. Having said that, I think Thomas Wade's got it right. I think 10 ticks is a really nice sweet spot. Now, obviously 10 ticks in a very tight range probably isn't the most sensible thing to do, but if you're going to go short here, maybe there or something like that, I think 10 ticks is the sweet spot. So I think Thomas Wade's got it just right, and I'm glad he does do it as well because it gives me the confidence to. But it's got to be, if you get a good setup, the good setups, they take off anyway because every man and his dog jumps on there. I didn't take it, but if you look at this, then we had that sort of pullback, really big bearish bar. Then, I mean, look at that. You can see how many people took that trade because it just went down and down and down. So, it doesn't matter how many points you go for, really. In a crap trade, it's just not going to work. But, when you get better at spotting some really good setups, then they do go. But I don't know whether it was anything to do with all this stuff that's happening in Israel, but I think he went long before then. So I was chatting to another trader from Facebook over a few days, And he said, had I seen this guy? And he said he was considering going, joining up. And I said I was myself. So he joined up and he got an email back later in the evening saying he'd had his money refunded. He said he was either stopping for I think his words were he was stopping trading for a while. So whether that meant he's stopping streaming or actually he's taking a break from trading. But he did have his own account, didn't he? And he there was some money moving around. So, but no, it's a shame. He might be back. Hopefully he's still trading. I think streaming and making money isn't for everyone. I've got to say, it kind of scares me about ever not having the stream, because I've sort of started really. I sort of started PAs. I think it was the first or second PA account I got just after I started streaming, so I've kind of grown up with it. So it kind of scares me that I can't trust myself at some point. I'm just going to shove that over. So, leg up, leg up. I think this is just 2 legs down, isn't it, rather than a bigger channel. 2 legs down, a little bit of sideways. Yeah, it's hard to trade here. I mean, my thoughts were we were going to come down. We got a leg and a leg, but it's going sideways at the moment. It is a little bit choppy, so you take a short, it could trigger and come up to this level here. So you've got to be a bit cautious trading in this. I mean, it makes sense that we got chopped there. We had a little bit there, and we've had some there, and we've had some there, and it's the same area, isn't it? You can see what's happening there. You can see support there. You can see it there. A few places along there. Once, twice, 3, 4 times, 5, 6, 7. A couple of times there. A couple of times there. So there's clearly some congestion around this middle. If we can get below it, then I think there's a good chance of coming down for the second leg. But you've got to be so careful picking something here that it doesn't just trap you and push up. I think the safest place really is probably up here with a triple test. But you don't know, sometimes it'll just drop. I've gone uptrend off the lows, held 3 times at really big channel. Uptrend off the lows. I don't think I trust that at the moment. Yeah, it's interesting. But to me, we got a leg. It's hard to say. I mean, at quick glance, it's just going sideways. So Whether you can trust that is hard to say. It's certainly worth being aware of it. Trouble is, there's nothing at the top. It wouldn't make sense at the top. I get that it's touching, but that top just doesn't look. I mean, it may. You just don't know. It's a bit early, I think, at the moment, or something like that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Is anything like it on the? I was just seeing if the NQ had anything similar. No, I think it's just more sideways, really. We're finding support here and here at the moment, but I think the chances are we're going to break below this. We've come off the tops at a break and a new low, and we're really just going sideways, but we are making lower highs. So I think, for me, I think it's more likely. We have had a couple of little breakouts that have failed, but we're still closing mostly below this EMA, so I think the chances are that it's going to come down from the leg, certainly to this area. I think is yeah, it's certainly good to be aware of these things for sure. Yeah, because you never know if all of a sudden it pushes up to here, then yeah, maybe. But just a quick glance at the moment, it's just going sideways. It's just doing that, really, isn't it? Yeah, you got to be careful you don't get caught out here. But I would say, from what I'm seeing, we're getting this slow drop, aren't we? So I think it's a good chance of getting down here, I think. So, leg up. Yeah, I think I wasn't concentrating on that at the time because you don't know where it's going to go, do you? But we're clearly struggling there, and that lower high, I don't think it's a bad setup, but the trouble is, it is early, isn't it? That one, I looked at that one, I think the risk was about 3.5 points. But the trouble is, you can't unsee what it's done, can you? But yeah, I don't think that was that bad either. Nothing up there really. Leg down. I don't know. A bit of support there. You may have taken an eye low, but same again. It's risky. The bar's big. 2 legs up, bearish bar. You may have wanted to take that. I tend to prefer them to tick above a little bit, really, because it traps the longs, and I think it's always a safer, more of a surefire trade to tick above a long. But channel down, coupler. So I don't tend to take that. You'll never see me take those when it flattens off like that. But clearly worked. But that one there, I don't actually think that was a bad trade. First and second, it's not a second entry short anyway. You could say it's visually, but if you see what price is doing here and what it's doing here, and there's clearly some support there, you can see that, and it has tested that underside multiple times. So I don't think that was a bad entry for a visual second entry short. You took 2 trades, posted in Discord, did you? Not the best trades. Yeah, it happens sometimes. The trouble is, when you trade this style, you get very little time to make a decision, so you're not always going to make the right decision. But there are great trades, and they're slightly more aggressive trades. But I take slightly more aggressive trades from time to time. I like to think I don't, but I think I do. But I think most of the aggressive trades generally work way more than they don't, and they're still worth taking. But it just depends whether you want more trades and maybe a slightly less win rate, which it doesn't matter if you're playing the numbers. Then it should be fine. But So if we can close below here, I think this is the bottoms here is our target, I think. Yeah, this is where we're coming, I think. You can see what's happening, can't you? Trouble is, it is frustrating when you can see what's going on. We got a leg down with a break and a new low. We're going sideways and we're slowly creeping down. So we pretty much know where we're going. That trade there, you know, there's plenty of points there, but you just can't take it. I don't take it anywhere. There'd have been a time where I'd have jumped all over a trade like that. Although it's not really a setup. But I tend to wait for a setup now most of the time, or what I believe to be a setup. You know, sometimes it turns into a riskier trade, but that's one thing you got to sort of put up with about trading. You know, this fast time frame is you don't get a lot of time. Sometimes you get a second or two to think about whether to take these trades or not, and you know, there's always a certain amount of emotion there, and it is easy to just get a little bit too excited. But what I believe is the better you get at it, you'll start to, the calmer you'll be, and the better trader, the smarter trader, you'll start to just filter out more and more of the crap until you get to the stage where you're firing off 90% of the time in the right direction. I believe that with this. It is accurate. I've never seen anything as accurate as this. The price action just does not lie. Yeah, there's a lot of grey area, but that's just down to inexperience. But someone like Mac, I'd hate to think how good Mac is at this, really. But I wouldn't think he takes many losing trades at all. But even after doing this 3 years, I can tell what I can see now compared to what I used to. Now he's been doing it over 25, so you can imagine how good he is. But look, we sort of knew it was going there, because you can see, can't you? But unfortunately, unless you take something a bit risky, sometimes you've just got to see it go. But I think you're always better to just let it go. You have to follow the rules, really. You know, I've learnt the hard way. I've learnt by taking. You look back on mine a year, I just jump in and take half a dozen stupid trades a day. But you do get used to. You do get better at slowly giving up the silliness and just slowly filtering out the stupid trade. I don't know how many times I just used to see the market going and I'd just jump in. But I think we all go through that stage. It's all part of it, isn't it? Part of the learning process, and you know. But when the emotions are thick with you when you first start and you first have money, you know, I remember trading an evaluation and I felt like my neck was in a vice. You know, that's how stressed and tense I was. I used to grind my teeth, and that was trading an evaluation. I'm nowhere near that now. Trading a PA account. But the more you do it, you do get better. You get a lot calmer, and you just realise that, and all you can do is just sit here and wait for a setup and take it, and nothing more. You know, all the stress in the world isn't going to change the outcome. If you take a wrong trade, you take a wrong trade. So we kind of knew it was going to do this, didn't we? But it is. I was hoping we'd get 2 pushes up and something there, but we didn't really. I don't know whether you consider that a lower high. Gambling style trading is very dangerous. Oh, mate, I tell you how many times I've just feel like I'm gambling. I have had to ask myself the question, am I gambling in the past? And I have to say, yeah, I probably was. I think it was going to go down, so I jump in it rather than waiting for a setup, you know. But there are a lot of videos out there if you're interested that ask the questions how to stop gambling and start trading. The unfortunate thing about trading is it is exactly what you are doing. You are gambling. Now, there's gambling on a horse race for someone like me, and there's gambling on a horse race for someone who's been around horses and horse racing all their life. They're going to have a lot more of an edge than I am. I couldn't tell you one horse name, you know, maybe something that's won the Grand National in the past, maybe 2 or 3. But, you know, some people eat, sleep and breathe horse racing. You know, they love it, their passion, and they're going to win more trades than I do. They're going to win more bets than I do. But you know, part of I think the addiction is gambling, is that excited feeling that you get, and you do get it in trading. You get better at not letting it affect you, but it's learning the skill, but it's having those same gambling tendencies that do affect a lot of people, and it's trying to control them. And I think with time. But what I will say is, if you have had problems with gambling and addictions in the past, I think this may not be the ideal thing for you. I'm not saying you couldn't get over it, but you know, I mean, you know, we had a family member. You know, I won't mention their names, but years ago we had a family member that lost their business and lost a house from the horses. So, you know, if you have got that type of addictive nature, you know, trading could be dangerous. And you know, I don't think the likes of the prop firms help us with making, you know, evaluations so cheap. They're almost disposable. You know, you pay $20-$30 and you can take a risk. Why? Because you're hardly risking anything. And I think they kind of know that, which is why they do them. But it is trying to keep on top of those emotions and that excitement, because we all, you know, enjoy a buzz from one reason or another, but it's having those feelings, but being able to control your actions. You know, as we know, sort of to every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You know, and you get that buzz from it, and it's kind of life's equalizer, isn't it? It sets in motion compensatory forces to remedy imbalance, and I think that's the issue. You know, it's making those right choices and not letting that sort of excitement and those sort of endorphins sort of overwhelm you. But I have had to think about things at the time and thinking, you know, I may be doing a lot of stupid stuff. I still do evaluations from time to time, but at least now I've grown to not do them with a PA, so at least I am finally, you know, entering the staircase in the right direction. Okay, so this is where I assume we would get to eventually, which made a bit of sense, didn't it? So we got a couple of legs down, then we got a little bit of pullback, and we've slowly sort of worked down, haven't we? Unfortunately, we haven't had anything really obvious. There was a second entry there, but the signal bar's naff. You may consider that a lower high. I don't know. I always... If ever I get these second entries a lower high, I always like them to break above first. It just doesn't look as good, does it? Cheap evals held me back for years. Absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm not naive enough to know that the companies are out there to make money. They're not out there to make me a trader and to make me a ton of money. They're out there to make money. You know, you have to appreciate that's how business works. But I do wonder whether there's going to be a lot more restrictions around the business. Because I know with things like, you know, the bookmakers and stuff, they've had to put things into place for people. Now, I had a friend who started playing the, you know, what's the word? You know, the fruit machines, that type of thing. What's they call them? The casinos. And he started to spend quite a lot of money. And I think he went to this website which banned him from using, you know, from using certain sites. And he had to do that himself because he realised he was struggling a bit. So I do wonder whether they're going to have any sort of restrictions over the coming years, because there's going to be a lot of people putting a lot of money into this, and I don't doubt there are some people who are going to get themselves into, you know, some financial difficulties. So whether they bring any new rules in, I think they maybe need some. But the trouble is, if they do that, how's it going to affect the prop firms, and how's it going to affect us? So, you know, it's nice to say, well, if you can't control yourself, you shouldn't be doing it. But we all know addiction's quite a powerful thing. So I don't know, maybe there are certain restrictions in it, but, you know, it would be nice if you could go into the Apex website and limit the amount of evaluations you can do, or limit the amount you can do per month to help you with some sort of control. We know there are bits of software out like Guardian Angel, which basically block you from trading. So there are tools out there if you feel like you're struggling a bit. Hey, bud, how you doing, Chris? So yeah, there are bits of tools out there which can help. There are a few guys in here. I know Speedy's using it lately, and he seems to be getting on all right with it. And Dean and John as well, 2 others. They're the ones I know of. Be nice if Apex got it. Yeah. I mean, Apex are a business to make money. You know, I doubt they're going to supply something like that. But that Guardian Angel, from what I gathered, yeah, the trouble is with Rhythmic, and I did it myself. Now, we all know if something goes tits up, we all panic, don't we? And the trouble is you can go into Rhythmic in about 10 seconds and just cancel it. Whereas with Guardian Angel, you can't. You set, you know, like a certain window that you can adjust this, and outside that window, you can't do a damn thing. You can set it so you can't even uninstall it and reinstall it, you know, so it's really, really useful if you're struggling. You know, I'd advise you to seriously consider it. Yeah, it is, yeah, but to be honest with you, when you start to go on tilt, 10 seconds is nothing, is it? You don't even bat an eyelid, do you? You just jump in. It's, you know, those emotions are that powerful that, you know what I mean? You just do whatever it takes. I mean, I've come in here before in the evenings and traded, and my wife's gone, "You're not trading, are you?" I've gone, no, I'm just on a sim, and I haven't been. So that when something goes wrong, that desire to jump back in is incredibly powerful. It's very hard to fight it. And you know, you guys have heard me say multiple times, the only way I really think that you eventually get round it is just with time. But it is useful to have these tools like Guardian Angel. It's just nice that there is ways out there, because, you know, I found up until a month ago when my emotions started to come in check, I felt like I've got enough skills to make money, but I haven't got the emotional strength to be able to keep it, and that's why, you know, I'd make money and then I'd end up blowing accounts. So it is a bit frustrating, but unfortunately it's just part of the business, and you know, you can run but you can't hide. You know, I even said to me wife, maybe we should put a password on the computer, and she changes the password every night. We didn't in the end, but in fact, I even had my wife sat with me one day. I said, I think you're going to have to sit with me, but I was revenge trading right next to her. She didn't have a clue what I was doing. But I think, yeah, I think Guardian Angel is a brilliant bit of kit, and I think it's going to get you out of habits. I think, you know, some people don't agree with it, but if you're in a habit, what do? If you're in a smoking habit, you can use the vapes, you can use the chewing gum or the tablets or something. There are tools out there to get you out of habits. Life crazy. What? Yeah. I don't know how many times. In fact, you know, I've had conversations with my wife about it, and the trouble is, you can tell, you know, when you're talking to someone, you can see it's going in one ear and out the other, but you got to get it off your chest. But now my wife's pretty supportive, actually. She did sort of give me a bit of a telling off the last time I blew the 5 accounts. I had 4 accounts. She got a bit pissed off, to put it lightly, and she went, "You're going to have to stop. You can't keep doing it." And I kind of felt a bit down, actually, but she did say, "Well, I was just saying it because I think you needed to hear it, that's all," rather than just being nasty about it. But trouble is, unless anybody's ever had a go at trading and felt those emotions, you got no idea what it feels like. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. You know, sometimes these jobs just take years to just get good at. So today, no argument there, clear ranging. So there's been quite a lot of this chop around. It's not a terrible day. There have been some setups. There was a lower high, maybe the failure there. There was a higher low there, but I just didn't like this when we only got so far up, so I left that. But the higher low did work. There was a second entry short, but I didn't like that bar, but I dare say some are going to take it. So it wasn't a terrible day, but nothing that I just want to try and sort of pick the best of the best. But it's easy to spot these things after the fact when you know they work, but at the time you got all these little calculations going for your head. Do I take it or do I not? And if you got any doubts, I always think the safest thing to do is just to leave it, let it go. So there is a possible higher low there, but I'm just not a fan of that. Because we may just be retesting this. As we know, there's a lot of support there, so we may just be looking at about Matt will mark 2 legs back to the EMA after that. Yeah, there's probably a dozen trades on here. Mind you, having said that, Mac knows, and he's said in the past, he only takes 2 to 3 trades a day, a couple of trades a day. So although he marks a lot, he doesn't take them because you just can't see him in real time that quick. We don't have a lot of time to think about it. We can't sit on the chart, come back and go, we know exactly what happened, don't we? Taking a lower high there, you could say, yeah, lower high or failure because we know it worked. You can't unsee it. So, you can't, it's hard to judge this really when you just take a glance of it at the end of the day. But in real time, the thought process is very different. Technically first entry, yeah. Yeah, I mean there is, technically it is, but it's, yeah, I mean if you look at it, there's a bit of sideways, and then we push up, we have a break and a new high, but really you've got to wait for a second entry short to go there, really, haven't you? Because not only that is, we've had that measured move is almost played out, so it's going sideways here, so it may push up from here. So taking a short might not be the best thing. The trouble is when we've come off these lows, but if you look here, the lows are all at different levels. So when we had this, we pushed up, we came back and retested, but we took off. So that's as low as we closed. So you never quite know where the bottom is unless it's falling exactly the same place every time, which it rarely does. So going short here when you've had this, there may be traders thinking, okay, that's low enough. Let's go long. This may just be a bit of a break. Maybe trap some shorts, pick up some more liquidity for a push-up. But I'm always cautious if we've got close to these lows. And let's face it, we've almost had 2 legs back bar 2 ticks, I think. So going short here wouldn't be my first option. And it's slow as well. It's just even more boring when it's slow. I think it may be a dry day for me today, which I haven't got a problem with. Yeah, it's a shame really that wasn't more of 2 legs, otherwise I may have had a go at that. See, there's definitely some sort of a channel down there. It's definitely finding an area at the top and bottom. But as we come off here, see, ultimately, the range has to come first, doesn't it? Because as we know, we can just get up to the top, and if the channel carries on right to the top, it can just turn. Do I really want to go short there? I think that's a bit risky, personally. It is quite a small bar. It may end up being a small risk, but I just don't like this. This to me looks like it may be finding a bottom, in which case it may continue up. Get back an intratrader indicator setting. I've accidentally deleted it. The default setting. So if you get if you get the chart how you like it and you right click, you've got templates down here, so you can actually save templates. So for some reason, sometimes if you shut something down and you don't save it, things can change. But if you go into templates, you may have saved something in the past there, so just sort of right click, if that's what you mean anyway, and you got templates. But yeah, just when you get your chart, I think that's what you mean, when you get your chart how you like it, just save it and date it. At least then, if something goes tits up, and I think that's what you mean. Default setting. Is there a default setting? I think if you open, let me think, if you click new and then chart, yeah, if you go into here and you click new and chart, I'm pretty sure it brings a new chart up where you can redo anything. Almost kind of Fib retracement settings I've deleted. Right, okay, so I'm not sure if you can, but just try that, because you may have saved it in the past. So just go into templates and just see, click load and see if there's anything you've saved in here. It may have saved, but yeah, make sure you do that. I didn't for a while when I first started using it, and I ended up having to reset it all and it's a ball ache. So just make sure you do that, and just every now and again, if you change something, just update it. It's gone really slow now. Okay, just excuse me, just for a couple of minutes. Okay. So, just quickly on that NQ, we may be having a triple test here. Let's have a look. That's only possible. Channel down. One attempt higher. It's a bit early yet. It may not work, but this is what I'm looking for. One leg up. One attempt. Second attempt. See how that falls. I'm just going to leave that there. It might not work. Oh, balls. Maybe not. Channel down, leg and a leg. It's not still late. Could come down again. Yeah, I think it's going to be a dry day today. Okay, I think I'm going to knock up on the air for the day. How long have I done? 2.5 hours today. It's a slow day. Side was not the best trading day. There has been a couple of setups, but nothing at the time that really sort of took me fancy. So that is it for today, folks. So if you've got some green, good on you. If you're carrying on trading, best of luck. Hopefully you might get something if we can get out of this range. Mind you, there is some distance between the top and the bottom, so there is some space, to get something, but there we go. So I appreciate all your comments. Have a great evening, stay safe, and I'll be back again same time tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get a better day tomorrow. So bye for now.